Hello? Who is this? This is Roger L. Jackson, Ghostface, from the Scream franchise, and you're listening to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast. So you like scary movies, huh? What's your favorite scary movie? And it better be the right answer, or I'll... Well, you know the rest. Thank you. You're such a lovely audience. We'd like to take you home with us. Or better yet, see you in your home.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast. Just want to thank all our fans and listeners. Really appreciate all the support. You guys are awesome. Before we get into tonight's highly anticipated review of Scream 6, just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Brian has done a great job with the website. If you want to listen to our episodes and interviews, we have that available on there. From episode 1 to our weekly release, check out our website. We also have done some incredible interviews in the past. The Freddy Kruegers of the world, Jason's, Michael Myers, one of the co-writers of Scream 6. Go check out Guy Busick's interview to hear about 5 and 6, the thought process. Thoroughly enjoy talking to Guy Busick. Go check out our interviews tab. Also going to shout out our store. We got some new t-shirts. You're a wrestling fan. We got some NWO themed DGO t-shirts, video game style ones. Go check out the store. It's awesome. The last thing I want to shout out is our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. We love interacting with you guys. We love meeting new people. And it's especially important to be on social media now with us. Your votes each week determine our next film review. So go check out our polls for our next film reviews. We'd really appreciate your votes. Shout out our Patreon. Last thing, we have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind we call it blood donors. All of that money goes directly back into the podcast. You know, it's not free to host these files, a website, the software to make the YouTube videos. None of that stuff is free. So you take a big burden off of us, and we really appreciate that. Or if you're a big fan of a movie, you want us to review it, we have one-time donations available as well. Whenever Brian's month is over, we have another blood donor review to do, and I'm looking forward to it because I really appreciate you guys supporting us. It means a lot to us. This past week, if I'm not mistaken, Scream 6 released on digital. And just like we did last year for Scream 5 and all the Halloween movies recently, if it's on streaming, we're going to review it because we all know that the fans want to hear it. Scream 6, I'll just go first. General thoughts. Not going to be too long because I wrote a lot at the end. I saw a tweet today that said, describe this movie in 3 words. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I put entertaining, entertaining but flawed, something like that. I think the movie is very entertaining. It's easy to watch. It goes by real fast. But me, I have a lot of issues with it, a lot of stuff I just can't buy, and that's just my opinion. I don't give the movie a pass for a lot of stuff anymore just because I just can't buy it anymore. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'll get to it at the end because I wrote a lot, and I don't want to talk too much right now. Brian, what are your general thoughts?
Well, I said it in our spoiler reaction review. I absolutely love this movie, and that hasn't changed a bit after rewatches. This is tied with me for my second favorite one in the franchise, tied with part 4. And yeah, I mean, we're going to repeat some of that stuff that we said back in the spoiler reaction. So just pretend you have CTE like Dustin and sit back and just enjoy. This
to be fair, I probably won't repeat anything I said because I can't remember what I said. So
there you go.
Don't worry, I'll round us all out by contradicting myself from a year ago. It'll be fine.
Thanks.
True.
Yeah, so this movie didn't feel like the sixth entry of a franchise to me. It felt like this fresh, new thing. Friend of the show, Guy Busick, by the way, go listen to his interview, don'tgoouthere.com. He does expand on some of this stuff, so go check that out. But he and James Vanderbilt, I think, knocked it out of the park yet again on their screenplay, and Radio Silence killed it as well. Now, it's not a perfect movie. Like I said before, I do agree with Nico that I don't care for the lack of main cast that were killed off in this one. But I hope that's made up for in the next installment. I also don't care for the amount of stabs that we take, and we're perfectly okay as a family here. I have to suspend belief for that, and I don't really want to have to. But during the 5 Cream review, I praised Melissa Barrera, but in this movie, she absolutely kills it, and is the unmitigated star of this one. This is her movie. This is her time to shine, and she was absolutely a force in it. But yeah, all in all, another home run for the Scream franchise in my book. This was the longest movie of the franchise to date. I didn't feel a second of it. Sorry for rambling. If you can't tell, I'm pumped to review this movie again.
All right, let's take on the franchise that to me doesn't have a bad entry. This one is no exception. Now, I could come on here and completely change my mind, which we're allowed to do on this show. In case anyone forgot how reviews work, you can like a movie at one point in your life and then maybe decide that that movie didn't quite hit the same. Don't know if you guys realize that. But anyway, that's not the case here. I love Scream 6. I thought it was really well done. It's entertaining. It's enjoyable. It's fun as hell. I said it in our spoiler reaction. I care about these 4 main new characters. I just do. And while their core 4 isn't as strong as this core 4 on the show here, it's still very strong, and it keeps me wanting to come back to these characters. I agree with some of the flaws. I wish the main characters had died. At least Gale. Spoiler alert: Gale doesn't fucking die. Or Kirby even would have been okay. But everyone lives, and I think that's almost the twist that they tried to throw in there for us. Like, oh, nobody died last time. A lot of people died. So I think they tried to kind of switch it up because everyone was expecting a main character to die, and that was the twist. But again, I think the writing is great. I love the meta aspects, and it's not as heavy this time either, which I think is nice. I love the change to New York. I think it worked really well. Change of pace, get out of Woodsboro. They did the same thing in Scream 2, and it worked out just great. So, again, love the cast, love the performances. Jenna Ortega is great. Melissa Barrera is fantastic. She's even better in this movie than she was in 5 Cream, as Brian said. So, I'm also pumped to talk about it. It's really hard to rank these Scream movies to me because I love them so much in different ways. I always get shit on for having Scream 2 at the bottom of my list. Man, Scream 2, if Scream 2 is your worst movie, you're doing something right. I mean, I just think they're all really damn good and really enjoyable, so I'm excited to talk about it.
I completely agree. They're all enjoyable. Some are better than others, sure, but there's not a real, what I would consider, bad movie in it, especially Part 3 because it has a Jay and Silent Bob cameo. But this movie, like we said on the instant reaction, I went in, I didn't see the trailer beforehand. I went to the theater and saw it, just kind of expecting to like it because it's Scream. But I walked away loving it. I didn't expect that. This episode for me tonight, if you've ever watched First Take and you hear, or whatever Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp's show is, you ever hear Shannon Sharp talking about LeBron James, that's kind of how I'm going to be tonight, talking about what James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick did to this movie. Like, I loved it. I think the cast is incredible. It's the longest movie in the franchise, and I don't feel it at all. Like, the rewatchability factor is way up for me, and considering it's 2 hours and 3 minutes or whatever, that's a testament in itself of just how good it is. Melissa Barrera, please check your DMs. Everything about this movie from the gore and violence standpoint is incredible. The twists, even if you start to catch on to some of the twists, like, they still do a good enough job of keeping you on the edge of your seat and keeping you engaged. So yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, this is probably my second favorite film in the franchise now. It's definitely top 3, but I think it could certainly be interchangeable with Part 4, and it's right there with 1. So love it.
Yeah, agree. Top 3 for me as well. Definitely.
All right, guys. Any more opening thoughts? We just jump into the scene by scene.
Top 3 for Nico as well.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, it's 4-1, and then all the rest of them are tied at number 3 for me. That's how I feel. Anyway,
if you want to go by rewatchability, I'll put it top 3, but rating wise, no. And I know that probably makes no sense, but I'll touch on it later. All right, let's jump into the scene by scene because we know these Scream episodes usually are long AF. All right, the film starts with a phone ringing at a restaurant. We meet Laura, who is at the bar waiting on a date to show up. Her date is lost and embarrassed, He calls her and asks about the place and where it's at. She tells him she's a film professor of 21st century slashers, and Reggie is intrigued. She doesn't seem thrilled to talk about it. He asks if the outside of the restaurant is red, and she walks outside to check. She confirms, but still doesn't see the place. He asks her about an alley, and she begins to walk down it to help find him. He says this is creepy and asks her to wave. He says someone is staring at him and moving towards him. He's following me and after him, and he has a knife. Ghostface's voice kicks in and questions why she went into a dark alley alone. Laura is alarmed by a scream until Ghostface appears and stabs her repeatedly, and she screams in agony as she's slaughtered. And I know Dustin loved hearing her scream. One final slash as Jason removes the mask. Jason goes back to the street and sees Tara, and she asks if he's going to the frat party and if Sam is coming. Jason gets back to his apartment and puts up his Ghostface mask with blood still on it in his stab shrine. He washes up and goes to open the fridge until he gets a call. He says he had to practice. Don't be mad at me. It's the Ghostface voice using Greg's phone. He asks Greg where is he and says we should go to the party. He asks Jason what it felt like to kill. It was even better than we could have imagined. He says it's like she wasn't even human anymore. Like an animal the more I stabbed. She was just meat. Ghostface says she wasn't a piece of meat. She was our film director. Jason grows suspicious and he asks how long they've known each other. He says we're finishing Richie's film, killing Sam and Tara. Let's play a game, warm or colder. Jason begins to look around the apartment for Greg. He's cold until he gets to the fridge. He opens it and sees Greg's cut up body. Ghostface appears and stabs him repeatedly until his intestines fall out. We have to finish the movie, he says. And I will agree with everyone. This line was amazing by Roger L. Jackson. Who gives a fuck about movies, Ghostface says, as he slashes him one last time into a title card. Visuals of New York now until we see Sam in therapy with Dr. Stone. He's concerned with her and why she only brings up Tara. He says he needs details to help her. Sam now tells him Billy Loomis was her father. Her boyfriend was a serial killer and idolized Billy. Sam shows him the Reddit theories on her. Sam says she stabbed him 22 times, slit his throat, and shot him. I'm here because it felt right. Doctor is concerned hearing that and says, we're done here. I'm not equipped for this, and he says he's required to report this to the law. Sam is mad and leaves. Sam walks home seeing cop lights and calls Tara, but voicemail. She's in her apartment now, and their roommate Quinn is getting the sex put on her. Sam asks if she's seen Tara, and she tells her she went to the frat party. Sam is pissed as she lays eyes on cute boy neighbor. Sam isn't ready for romance and leaves to go find Tara. We're at the party now, and Annika asks Mindy if she feels weird at this party. Tara is a little messy, and a frat boy, Frankie, hits on her, taking her to the kitchen to get liquor. They make small talk, and she lies about where she's from. He says he has Fireball in his room, and she says, fuck it, let's go. Annika tries to stop her, and Tara thanks her for trying to look out. Chad and Ethan take shots, and he tells him to go hit on this girl. She shoots Ethan down, and Annika tells Chad he's needed. Chad goes up to Frankie and says Tara is good down here. Tara tells him that she wants to go up there, and he starts to drag her up the stairs. Sam is here now and tases him right in the sack. Tara is pissed and walks out. They call Sam the psycho girl. Sam follows Tara down the street, and Tara says if she wants to hook up with a frat guy, she can. Sam is upset she hasn't dealt with the trauma. She says she won't let 3 days define her life. She asks Sam why she's here in New York. Sam is trying to look out for her, and Tara says she can't do it for the rest of her life. A girl throws a drink on Sam, and she goes to retaliate, but is stopped by Chad, and Ethan gives her some tissues to dry off. All right, Brian, that's the opening set of scenes I got. What'd you think?
I'm still getting over getting the sex put on her. That's an all-timer right there. I loved it.
Put on a t-shirt, baby. Let's do it.
Okay, so obviously we know how important the cold opens are to this franchise. I'm a fan of literally every single one of them, although I do think Scream 3s is the weakest of the 6. Yes, I'm even a big fan of 4s, but this one is elite. Like, this one is right there with Part 1's opening is the best in the franchise to me. Guy Busick spoke to the opening and kind of how it came about in that interview, so go check this out, or go check that out. But just a few tidbits as well. I'm a big fan of Samara Weaving, so I'm glad it was her here who got this opportunity to go into Scream lore. She told Guy that this was probably the character that she's ever played that's the closest to her real-life persona. Laura Crane, definitely named as a reference to Psycho's Marion Crane. Her contact info for Reggie on her phone is actually a photo of her real-life husband and her dog. Strange, because that doesn't look like a picture of me, but okay. Costume designer Avery Plews revealed Samara Weaving's dress in the opening scene of the movie is a nod to Tatum Riley's from the OG. And also, I think friend of the show, Roger L. Jackson, is in his fucking bag in this movie. And it starts with this opening phone call. Moving along, when Jason kills Laura and removes his mask, I was like, holy shit. Okay, is this what we're doing here? I think that what they did with the motivation here for these two opening killers and wanting to continue Richie's movie, I thought was great motivation. And Dustin and I both spoke to this in our spoiler review, but the atmosphere here with Jason just nonchalantly, not only speaking to Tara on the way home, but the way he talked to Greg about killing Laura, I thought was disturbing as hell. Like, it legit made them feel psychotic and not just like a parody of anything that's come before. A tidbit I didn't notice before, but before Ghostface calls Jason, on his refrigerator in the top left-hand corner, there's a picture of a girl who looks a lot like Casey Becker, but it's the same girl who played her in Richie's movie that's shown later on in the theater. Speaking of atmosphere, strangely enough, this franchise feels perfectly at home in New York City. And they play with that again, like in the opening alley scene, just right off the bat, and I love it. And, Nico said it, who gives a fuck about movies, I thought was such a badass way to end this cold open. And, I think the rest of the set of scenes is great as well. I like the character of Quinn. I think Liana Liberato gets lost a bit when talking about this movie, but I think she killed the role, and I appreciated her a lot more upon subsequent viewings. This opening interaction with Sam, I think, is great. It feels natural. And just a few Easter eggs from the opening party scene, I'll shut up. Ortega plays drunk amazingly. And this convo with Sam is like, she's just all around great. She's just an elite actress. I can't praise her enough. But the costumes that Radio Silence wore in their 2012 VHS segment are replicated by the costumes that Tara and the rest of the core three here are wearing. You'll spot Wednesday Addams, where at this point Ortega hadn't blown up over that role just yet when filming this. And after the party, Tara changes into a white and black striped shirt, the same shirt that Jill wore in Scream 4. And I love the meta of the altercation and using Sam of being the killer from 5, but also commenting on the unwarranted toxic fandom backlash from 5 on Melissa Barrera there. But I'll shut up. Go ahead.
Man, I love this cold open. I really do. It's number 2 as far as cold opens in this franchise to me. It accomplishes everything I want. It kills off a pretty big time actor of its time. It does great mood and atmosphere with Ghostface. It's Roger L. Jackson at some of his peak stuff. It's great. I think killing off Samara Weaving here early, really good. I love the little subtle nod to being basically a 90s or a 90s slasher professor. I think that's pretty cool. I would love to take that class, to be honest with you, especially if it was taught by Samara Weaving. Call me sometime. But I love everything in this alley. It fooled me. Like, I had a feeling they were going to kill her off once I saw that she was cast, but the way they did it really shocked me. And I almost wish they had gone all the way with this Ghostface, revealing him in the early, and we talked about it in the instant reaction, but going all the way with this Ghostface as far as making him the killer the whole time, showing his face really early on, and now we're following a Ghostface that we know, but they don't know. Like, I think that would have been a very interesting take on it. It all worked out fine, but I think that would have been really, really cool to see. But it was still, in the moment, shocking to see a Ghostface unmasked just like that. And then we go, holy shit, they're really about to do something different. I love everything at the apartment, too. The subtle nods to all kinds of other horror movies. Again, more peak Roger L. Jackson. A Last Podcast on the left poster. It could have been Don't Go Out There. Guy, next time you want to plaster that poster in there, that'd be just fine. Obviously, had Jason Takes Manhattan playing on the screen. One of the worst slasher movies ever, but whatever. I'm glad it's there because, they're in New York, and that makes sense. And I love, again, it really threw me for a loop because we're seeing the Ghostface that we thought was the Ghostface the whole time, or at least I did. Now he's about to get killed by yet another Ghostface. And I think all of that is so well done. The phone call, him basically, he thinks it's his friend and he's turning on him. Turns out his friend's in the fucking fridge and he gets cut. And I love the final line of who gives a fuck about movie. Like, I think that's really, really good. And I love introducing some new characters right out the gate here. You get Quinn, which Brian talked about. I think in the first time you watch it, she kind of feels like she's just there. and we know what happens to her character later. So you kind of get a little with that reveal. But when I watched it back 2 different times now, she's more important. Like, because of the ending, we know these little subtle things that she does are really, really good, and I like the character. Obviously, you have the core 4 here. I think they're all really well cast. I've said that a bunch. Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera steal this opening set of scenes with their confrontation outside of the steps, especially Jenna Ortega, just basically almost in tears trying to get her point across. I think it's phenomenal. And I like this interaction where Sam gets what ends up being Diet Cherry Coke thrown on her. And again, the little bit of meta there with, that Brian touched on, and it really gets touched on and hammered home later, where there was unnecessary backlash to this character of Sam and Melissa. I never understood it then. I definitely don't understand it now. She fucking killed this role. I think everybody kind of had to apologize for shitting on her for 5 creams. So I love this opening set. I am right in, and that's what I like about Scream. And I know Who Done It is kind of overdone, especially because, Scream does it every movie. But there's just something about that keeps me coming back. I want to know who the Ghostface are. Now, I've said many times, finding out who Ghostface is isn't really like the most important thing, but I still want to know. I want to know how they end up tying it all together. So, again, they have me hooked right off the bat.
Yeah, so one thing we know we can expect from Scream movies is a good to great opening scene with an early kill. And this one is, you guys said it, like this is one of the best in the franchise. I like the introduction to Samara Weaving's character here. Her character is very down to earth and relatable. Like she's, this awkward and hopeful romantic, just looking for love, and too trustworthy and gets her in trouble. I really like her character here. Now, Nico mentioned how much I love her Scream. It is what it is, but Ready or Not, she died, and it wasn't that it wasn't that bad of a scream. It didn't annoy me like it did then, or I would have really caused some mayhem. See, I had to say both of those movie titles. I don't know which movie it was that her scream really annoyed me, but yeah, Ready or Not or Mayhem. But she was great here. The scream wasn't as obnoxious. One thing I don't like though about this, cold open is how many white people y'all know named Reggie. I mean, I've got a white cousin named Jerome, but I've never met a white Reggie. Like, that's just a strange name for the character there. Just a small nitpick. I want you to really think about that. Name one Reggie you know. So anyway, it's like when NCAA 14 used to auto-generate the names for the recruits, and it would have like Jamal, and he's a 5'10" white guy from Iowa. No, but anyway,
sounds like my kind of recruit, pal.
Then the score comes in as she's walking down the alley, and it's really creepy, especially paired with the phone conversation. Like, I really like that. Her death is well done and shocking. What's even more shocking is that when Ghostface immediately unmasks, like, we haven't seen him, we haven't seen that before in a Scream film, and we don't recognize who he is. Like, it wasn't anyone we knew from Scream 5, so it causes you to go into scramble mode almost to figure out what we're seeing here, and I really thought that was well done. And then his interaction with Tara, yeah, you mentioned that there, Brian, like when he's walking back to his apartment, he passes Tara, and he just nonchalantly, like nothing happened. Hey, you going to the parties? Your sister going to be there? Like, and then when he's talking on the phone, it's just this real sicko shit. That's a real sociopathic. That there's killers out there like that. They just kill, and they're like, it felt good. They were less human, and it's just so creepy how that was done. I really like that.
Sociopath. That's what I was trying to think of.
Sociopathic shit right there.
That's a great point. Just nonchalant as shit, man. I loved it.
And I really love that he's watching Friday Part 8 because, yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, Ghostface Takes Manhattan, right? So I like that Jason Takes Manhattan's playing on the TV there. That was awesome. And then we get a really brutal killing of Jason here. And it's shocking also because it adds another wrinkle. Like, the Ghostface who did the opening kill isn't our Ghostface. He's not our antagonist in this movie. And so it's like, bam, right off the bat, you're like, okay, shit, there's a swerve. Like, I thought that's where we're going. Nope. And then Sam, my beautiful baby Sam, she killed this opening scene. I think that her character is just, I like the way she's written. Like, she followed her sister to the city. She wants to be that, mama bear, since they don't have contact with her mother anymore. We later come to find out. And that therapy session was so intense. Like, hearing her describing killing Richie. Like, that's a great way to plant the seeds of her possible villain story. You know, it plants the seeds of maybe she got a taste for blood and had to go back for more. And then, you know, Scream movies always do a great job of incorporating some humor here. And the first laugh I got came when Sam asked Quinn if that's Paul in her room, and then we hear the guy in the background go, "Who the fuck is Paul?" Like that was just, that was funny as shit to me. And then shout out to the filmmakers for having Too Short blasting at the party. Great song choice, and Too Short deserves his flowers. And then they followed it up with a fucking Denzel Curry song. Great soundtrack here already. The last thing I've got on this set of scenes is if I would have been there and a drink was thrown on Sam, I would have thrown hands in that scenario. Listen, I believe in equal rights and equal lefts. You don't disrespect her like that. But it's a great opening set of scenes. I'm all in already.
Oh, man. All right. Back at the apartment, Quinn apologizes to Tara, and Quinn tells her about her dad being obsessive after her brother died. Chad enters the room and sits by Tara. She thanks him for stopping her going up the stairs, and they almost kiss until Quinn cockblocks. Chad leaves, and Quinn apologizes. Tara lies back and smiles. Danny enters the building, and Sam walks past him. She stops and grabs him, and they kiss. She's not ready for their relationship to be public. He notices the spilled drink on her and laughs. Chad calls for Sam, and we see on the news about the guys killed earlier. Sam tells Tara to pack a bag. We're getting out of the city now. Chad kicks Danny out, and Tara asks to talk. Chad and Mindy back Sam up in the argument. Tara has Quinn call her cop dad. Sam's phone rings, and it's Gail Weathers. Detective Bailey asks to talk to Sam. Her license is at the scene of the crime. Sam and Tara exit the building, and they head to the police station until Sam gets a call from Richie. She answers, and we hear the Ghostface voice. Jason and Greg were going to kill you both. They get a false scare as someone suspicious walks past, and Ghostface jumps out the bushes and grabs Tara. They get away and run into a bodega. Ghostface kills a feisty New Yorker with multiple stabs as the others flee. The cashier grabs a shotgun and shoots at them. The sisters try and escape out the back, but it's locked. He's killed via shotgun, and the sisters hide, Jurassic Park style, in the store. They distract Ghostface by tossing an aluminum can. They push the shelf over on Ghostface and run out the front door. Ghostface escapes out the back as police arrive, leaving the mask behind. We're at the station now looking through evidence as Bailey walks in with the mask. The mask belonged to Richie Kirsch. Tara says the other mask being worn was different. He asks their alibis. Sam questions his involvement in the case. He asks how long they've known all their friends. The FBI is here, and Bailey leaves. Bailey meets Special Agent Kirby Reed. She's been investigating the online activity of the two killed. Sam and Kirby went to high school together. Bailey shows her a mask that had Jill and Charlie's DNA. The killer is a student of the previous Ghostface killers. Bailey says they're not allowed to leave town. The sisters walk out and are bombarded by paparazzi. Gail appears and asks questions, and Sam swings and misses until Tara mollywops her. They're pissed at her for writing a book on what happened. Sam brings up Dewey and her quotes. They walk off, and Gail says Sydney isn't coming. She's going someplace safe. She deserves her happy ending. Tara says maybe without Ghostface in her life, she'll fade away. We're at Dr. Stone's house now, and he gets a knock at the door. He walks slowly to the door and asks, who is it? We see it's Ghostface, and Doctor has his head bashed into the door, and he's stabbed in like the face. They steal the file on Samantha Carpenter. Red Right Hand plays as we get visuals on campus as Mindy gives her Scream sequel-requel speech. There are certain rules continuing a franchise. No one is safe. Not looking good for Gail and Kirby. The main characters are expendable now too. Ethan asks if he's going to die a virgin and a part of the friend group. Mindy explains that Quinn having a cop dad makes her more suspicious. Quinn and Ethan question their trauma and possible hunger for more killing. Annika says we're all suspects. Bailey asks Kirby about Sam's alibi and shows her the photos of Dr. Smart's deaths. He tells her he's killed coincidentally as he reports her to the authorities. He shows her Roman's mask now. They look at all the evidence and photos on the board. Kirby tells Bailey to make sure Quinn stays alert. Bailey has someone call Atlanta about Kirby. All right, Bryce, next set of scenes I got. What'd you think?
So it's great to rewatch this movie knowing the killers. It's the most like the first one in that regard, where you can rewatch and see shit that means different things upon, subsequent viewings. And something else that applies this set of scenes, but it also applies to the entire movie. Moving away somewhat from Sydney's story, allows these character moments like early on here in this apartment between the cast that they really deserve and really make you fall in love with them in a way that you were able to with the big three in the first four movies. For the first time, this really feels like their movie. And even these new cats, although probably my least favorite character is Annika of the newbies, but even they get their moments to stand out. Quinn is probably my favorite, but it is pretty spot on casting as well with Jack Champion as Ethan. While I can't say the same for Quinn, Champion is perfect for Richie's brother. And no offense to Danny nor Josh Segarra, I just think he's miscast for this role. That's all. He did fine. I can't explain it, which I know isn't good review talk, but it's just my opinion. I didn't really care for. I don't know. I don't want to say I didn't really care for him. It was just he's miscast to me. The Tara and Chad thing felt a little forced at first, but upon these rewatches, I don't mind it anymore. I mean, those two are basically the new Dewey and Gale, so that makes sense to kind of happen anyway. And the exchange after Chad being quote cock-blocked with Quinn made me smile. It's just another one of those character moments that is just I've really found to love a lot in this movie. And I mean, geez, with this movie, it's just one fantastic scene after another. This bodega scene is even better than it was, on the trailer. That shotgun kill of the store clerk, just chef's kiss. Dustin had a little nitpick about it in our interview, and I agree with that. I'll let him say it again, though. But I'd say inside the bodega, I'm definitely thinking is Detective Bailey, and the savage badass kills I give to Bailey as well. Although, yeah, Quinn and Ethan were in the apartment. Quinn may have stepped out for that initial thing. I don't know. Otherwise, if it wasn't Quinn, Tara kind of tossing Bailey to the side like that, I thought was pretty dumb, just my opinion. I love getting Kirby back. I've said before, she's my favorite character in the franchise, and I stand by that. I've also said, before watching Scream 1 through 5 and seeing Gale and Sydney and Dewey, it's like seeing my old family again. And while I'm not quite there with this new cast, I don't know, I may be after this movie, but Kirby and Gale in this one definitely gave me that feeling. And speaking of Gale, I know some people have an issue with her kind of going back to her old ways to an extent. I don't personally. I think once Dewey died, she was left with no one and kind of went to what was comfortable. But I do like what they give her here. I do like that relationship arc with Sam, what they go through in this movie. Her dodging that first punch was a nice move, but Tara's was kind of a nice foreshadowing for that final kill on the detective when those two kind of team up with that. A fucking great kill on the therapist, and then bam, right into Red Right Hand. Look, I love the way they used Red Right Hand in this one, compared to how they did it in 5. I thought it was perfect. I'll let Dustin speak on Mindy's rules since he liked that in the spoiler review. But yeah, going through the franchise killers, I mean, damn, there was just a lot in this group of scenes, and this may be my favorite group of scenes in the movie if I had to pick one.
Okay, look. Again, we get more of this stuff in the apartment. You mentioned all, the character moments, the character development. We get to see just, in Scream 5, they're kind of new, and you're just kind of fleshing out Sam and Tara are sisters, and they haven't seen each other in a while, and you kind of get to know the twins, but you don't really get to know. All these moments in the apartment, this part and what comes later, are all really important for making me care about this quote-unquote core 4, but even characters like Quinn and stuff, I think adds a nice, little touch. That Tara and Quinn seem like they would be college roommates. They're from different backgrounds. You end up with them somehow. It's the way the world works, and I think that worked out perfectly. I like Tara and Chad for a lot of different reasons, and I read a comment earlier today that talked about how, man, weren't Chad and Wes friends, and he knew Wes was in love with Tara, but I don't know, man. I mean, no offense, but Wes is dead, my man. I don't know what to say. That's just kind of the way it works. But I like them together. I think it gives us a new romantic angle that we no longer have with Dewey and Gale. So I like it a lot. I love this scene in the store. I know I understand that he has a gun, and a lot of people didn't like that. I like the different killing device. One of my big only real complaints about the entire Scream franchise is it's nothing but stab. And we get a gun here, and that didn't bother me. I actually thought it gave it a little bit something different. I appreciated the fact that there was just a different weapon involved. Outside of like a garage door kill and a piece of glass, I don't really know any other way that people have been killed in these movies. So it was nice to see some different weaponry is all. But I think the intensity of the scene, the chase, the gun adds to it, and I really, really like it. And it's not just like a random gun. Guy behind the counter had a gun. So again, worked for me how it got there as well. Really good kill on the therapist. I will say upon a rewatch, watching the therapist die, you really do kind of feel that no weighty characters were killed off in this movie, because you're like, no, I mean, no offense, but the therapist was kind of a dick to Sam. I don't really care that he's dead, to be honest with you. Like, almost like, yeah, hey man, that kind of happens. You shouldn't have been an ass. But I still liked it. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But then we get the return of Kirby, which I was so ready for. I was really hoping for it in 5. We talked to Guy about that, which you can listen to at don'tgoouthere.com. Brian's on mute, and I don't want to wait. But you can listen to that. And we talked about that and how there was maybe some, she reached out to them for 5, and they just couldn't fit her in the story. And it would have been a little cameo maybe, and he wanted more, so they gave her a lot more to do in this movie. I like I like the fact that she's an FBI agent. Like, that's a perfect way to bring her back, trying to solve crimes like she went through all those years ago. I really like that touch. And pretty much my last thing here, Gale. I think this may be, me personally, outside of the first one, to me, this is Gale's best work as a character. She feels the most important in this movie. They give her more to do. She gets a Ghostface call, which we'll talk about. I just feel like there's more weight to the Gale character. As before, Dewey and Sydney were kind of A and B, and then you had Gale. Dewey's gone, unfortunately, and now we have Gale. And I love that she went back to her old ways, because that's who Gale Weathers is, man. She's a nosy-ass reporter, a journalist, and I think her being on this scene again really just works. It's kind of like, God damn, Gale will not go away. And I like that. And, of course, she wrote a book about what happened. You can't stop Gale from doing what she does, is making money off the stuff that happens in Woodsboro. And I love the fact that it was Tara that punched her after she ducked the first one. And we touched on it in the spoiler reaction. I like the way they touched on Sydney. I think you have to mention her. You can't ignore Sydney Prescott. That would have been really stupid to do, in my opinion. I have to talk about it. I thought it was a nice little subtle gesture. Say she deserves her happy ending, and everybody agreed. I really appreciated that. So, again, really, I think it's a good set of scenes. I love the character development that we get from all involved. We get more of Tara. We get more of the twins. We get more Gale, and we get the return of Kirby. So I think it's a really strong set of scenes.
Yeah, Quinn saying cock block like 3 times had me dying laughing. It's just so awkward. Like, I could feel his pain as that's happening. That was just funny to me.
Stop saying
cock. When Sam grabbed Danny and started kissing him, I was so confused, because I thought it was like a fantasy, like when Harold fantasized about his neighbor and Harold and Kumar go to White Castle. Like, I thought it was one of those things, but turns out it wasn't a fantasy. It was actually my nightmare. She was actually kissing another guy, but okay. And then Chad instantly became my hero when he shooed him around. He's like, "Shoo, we got it, new guy, go." So he became my hero there. I love the casting of Dermot Mulroney as Quinn's dad. Like, I've been a fan of his since I was a wee lad watching Angels in the Outfield. So shout out to that. I thought he did a great job in this role here. Now, the Quinn that follows them in the bodega, like, that had to be Quinn, right? Because Detective Bailey was at the crime scene. So, question I have is, like, no one questioned Quinn when she leaves at this strange hour after there's been murders in their area. Like, she just is able to sneak out, or did everybody else leave as well? I don't know. That's just a question I have. Seems like someone would be suspicious. Then one of my biggest pet peeves of the movie.
I was going to say, I don't know. I think it was Detective Bailey in the bodega. And that's what I was talking about. Like, I do think that Quinn, it had to have been Quinn at the very beginning, because Tara pushes her to the side so easily. There's no way that she could have pushed Detective Bailey off of her like that and had been, it'd be realistic. Right. I could have sworn it was Detective Bailey inside the bodega, especially with the way he handled that shotgun. And I mean, I don't know.
That's why I'm going to say I don't think so, because what I was about to say is this is one of my biggest pet peeves of the entire movie is you have a fucking shotgun and they're unarmed. Why is he pussyfooting around here? There's no need to sneak around them, but they're unarmed girls. You've already killed, a couple people in this bodega. So that's why I think if it was Detective Bailey, like he would have been more aggressive because he knows how to handle a firearm better. Maybe it was Ethan. I don't know, but it seems a little questionable there as to who that actually was and why they suck so bad in that bodega. You have a fucking gun. I love Kirby coming back into the franchise. Also, big pop for me there. Also, side note, Hayden Panettiere is so beautiful. So I mean this with all due respect. But the older she gets, she's developing this like very textbook Karen look about her. Like it might be the haircut, but like that I'm gonna talk to the manager. She just has that look about her, man. I don't know what it is, but I still loved her.
She can talk.
I get another laugh when Tara punches Gail because her her ducking that first punch was great, only to be decked with the second one. I thought that was awesome. Nice touch here to have Gail explaining Sydney's absence. I agree. I like the way they do it because you can't just ignore her. You can't act like Sydney doesn't exist. She is Scream. And so I like the way that it was explained here. She doesn't, she's good. She just sends her regards or whatever they did. I like that. Dr. Sam's death is a little confusing. The whole scene, honestly. This man is on his couch watching a movie in silk pajamas like it's 10 o'clock at night or something, but when he goes to the door, it's fucking daylight. What time of day did this happen? What kind of lifestyle is this guy living?
My dream.
Also, the glass on that door had to be the most fragile glass ever used. Like a decent-sized bug flying into it might have cracked it. Because dude just reached his hand through and grabbed him in the chest like it's nothing. So that's a little bit of I don't really like that. Last thing I have here is about the, we get the red right hand, perfect usage, I agree. And then Mindy reiterating the rules, just like her Uncle Randy did, just like she did in Scream 5. She broke down the rules of the sequel to the requel and how it's, expect the opposite of what you should expect. And even the legacy characters aren't safe and be suspicious of everyone new. Like, I just thought that scene was that is a Scream scene. Scream scene, said that backwards. And it's perfect. I thought that was one of my favorite parts of the movie is just Mindy here in the park with her friends and roommates and Decor 4 and before they get that name. And she's just laying it out here because it just feels so right for this movie. So another great set of scenes that I do have some issues with, but still love it.
All right, Tara tells Chad to get out of the city. He says he's not going anywhere, and Mindy tells him to just make out. Sam wants them all to stay, as Chad calls them the Core Four. Annika turns up the news, and the prime suspect in the killings is Sam. She's furious and turns the TV off. She sits at the table, and Tara comforts her, saying none can relate to what she's experiencing. Sam cries, saying she shouldn't care what people think, but it sucks to be this hated. Chad and Mindy join and reassure her none of them hate her. We are a team. The Core fucking Four. Sam smiles and she confesses. I don't know, I thought this was a weird time to admit this, but she smiles and she confesses she's been sleeping with the cute boy. Danny is ironing a t-shirt as he sees Ghostface in Quinn's room hovering her. Danny tries to wave at and call Sam, but she ignores the call. They hear Quinn moaning and suddenly all their phones go off. We see Ghostface attacking Quinn. They run to her door and Ghostface throws Quinn on Annika. Tara and Chad get out the front door and Mindy gets gashed on the arm. Annika is stabbed in the gut and cut upwards as Sam hits Ghostface with a knife block. They lock themselves in another room. Mindy finds Quinn's boo dead in the tub and they lock Ghostface out the room. Danny gets Sam's attention and puts a ladder across the alley to the window. Sam crawls across first as Ghostface tries to get through the door. Sam makes it across and Mindy kisses Annika as she crosses over next. Annika climbs over now, but Ghostface gets into the room. They tell her to hurry as Ghostface begins to shake the ladder. Annika reaches for Sam, but falls off the ladder, bashing her head on a dumpster, dying, and Ghostface walks away. Ambulances are here, and Danny walks up to Sam. Sam doesn't know who she can trust. He tells her not to trust anyone. Ethan walks up, and Chad slams him into a car. He asks where he was. He says he was in study hall, and he sees Annika's dead body. Mindy says he's at the top of her list. Bailey walks out in tears, and Sam and Tara walk up to him. Both my kids are gone, and he says he's taken off the case. You fuck with my family, you die. Gail runs up, and she calls for truce. Gail reveals she knows where the masks are coming from as Kirby walks up. Gail takes him to Greg and Jason's secret place. Kirby says this wasn't in their financial records. They enter the old theater, and we see the shrine to Ghostface and Stab. Masks, knives, evidence from all the previous Ghostface killings. Kirby pauses when she sees Jill's shirt. Chad and Mindy see Uncle Randy's shirt. Gail pauses when she sees Dewey's shrine. Ethan asks why he's here. All 9 masks are missing, and Sam walks up to the Billy Loomis shrine. She sees her father in the reflection of the glass telling her she's got to be excited to get her killing on again. She touches the glass as he nods, yes, and Tara walks up asking what she's doing. The group begins to theorize, and Tara walks off. Kirby sits with Mindy as they look at the TV that killed Stu Mocker. They ask each other horror questions. Did we just become best friends? Yep, vibes. Sam asks Tara if she's okay, and she asks her when she gets to be normal again. She doesn't want to be a part of this legacy because of Sam and walks away. Kirby chases after her, and Gail walks up to Sam. Gail asks, where's her mother, and she says they cut her off. Gail says, fuck her, you can still make your own family. She holds Sam's hand in comfort. Tara asks Kirby how she got past what happened to her. Kirby tells her story. She wanted the monsters to be afraid of her. Bailey walks in saying he may have an idea turning the tables on this creep. All right, Brian, that's the next set of scenes I got. What'd you think, brother?
So a little fun fact that I personally noticed that isn't anywhere else that I've seen. So if anyone wants to add it to IMDb, go ahead. But I'm sure the writers have caught on to what most people know, and that's the fact that we've spoken to on here that Apple won't let a bad guy have an iPhone. A very nice touch by Guy and James in Radio Silence to just make all the cell phones not Apple and just make them all generic. Something I think that I said in our spoiler review, but I wanted to shout that out again. I love how the screenplay took a beat and gave us another one of those character moments with the core 4 here and that dinner table with Sam and them. I did find it odd that it showed us Quinn talking to her dad, or at least acting like it, in front of either her brother or her dad for just us, the audience. Like, personally, I think it was Ethan because of the lack of violence compared to the ones we've seen where it was clear Detective Bailey did it. But, yeah, otherwise, who else is that fake-out phone conversation for? Because Quinn's fuckboy wasn't even in the room. He was in the shower at that point. But, whatever. And I think I would have liked to have seen Danny throw some shit at the window here to get their attention better. I feel like you didn't try hard enough there. And come on. Like, Sam would have looked over at that window once she saw his number on the phone, I think, too. But back to the lack of violence. Mindy is cut on the arm and is, like Dustin mentioned in the spoiler review, paralyzed and can't help Annika. Like, great fucking shot, though, of her being cut, knife twisted and pulling up on her sternum. Would have liked to have seen Annika not even attempt this latter scene, though. I mean, she was cut, twisted, basically gutted. I could have personally done without the latter scene completely, to be honest. Very cool visuals with the kill, but it wasn't realistic to me. Also, nice little plant of the you fuck with my family, you die for the later callback as well. I didn't notice that until subsequent viewings. Little fun fact, when it came time to fill Annika's insane death, Jasmine Savoy felt it was missing a certain je ne sais quoi and was quoted as saying, I was like, hey guys, love this scene. It's so sick. But I think adding a kiss would make it even better. I think it's important, specifically with Annika's death. I was like, if y'all really want to break some hearts, we need an epic kiss right here. They were like, okay, let's try it. And then they did, and they were crying, and they stopped. See? Just simple as that. That was it. That
sounded like Mitch Hedberg just then.
Yeah, you did. You sounded just like Mitch Hedberg. That was really good.
The escalator stops. It becomes stairs.
It becomes stairs.
And man, this freaking Ghostface layer, just unbelievable. Like, I almost wish they hadn't shown this in the trailer at all, but man, it's my wet dream as a Scream fan. We asked Guy about this layer in our interview. Very cool stuff to find out in that regard as well. Go listen to it. Don'tgothere.com. And I personally paused the scene over and over again, but man, it's just so freaking awesome with their attention to detail. So many emotional beats here with Gail and Dewey and Chad, Mindy, and Randy and Kirby, Sam, and Billy. I love the hallucination Billy coming back to, just unreal. And, and then we get more big character moments and relationship building. Dewey's theme popping back up when Gail and Sam are talking about that one person. Loved it. Kirby and Tara, just all around fantastic, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, again, this scene around the table here is one of my favorites because something we get is the more of the meta stuff that me and Brian touched on earlier with Sam and the criticism of her character from the last film. I think that's very much touched on the unnecessary hate that kind of turned it into, she's supposedly the quote-unquote killer to all these conspiracy people out here. And I think they turned that and letting Melissa Barrera kind of have her moment to kind of say, hey, man, all that online backlash you gave me was completely unnecessary. And I love that, Tara really comforts her in that moment and, makes her feel like, hey, we love you. We support you. None of this is your fault. I love this core four coming together moment here. Chad and Mindy are great as well. And then she talks, she's like, I've been screwing the cute boy from down the hall or whatever. I thought that was really funny because, man, everybody knew that shit. You weren't special. I will say, a small nitpick is all this stuff with Quinn. I know they were trying to throw us off, and I don't really know how you write yourself out of that besides having a completely different Ghostface. But the stuff with using like a body double and prosthetics and all that stuff, and we just saw Quinn, like some of that with hindsight, I'm not a big fan of. But I'm willing, again, it's not like the worst thing ever. I'm willing to forgive it. But I love Ghostface in this apartment. I think it's so good. The tension is fantastic. The way they use doors, Mindy's got a cut, so there's bleeding everywhere with Annika. Like, I think it's really good gore with the man in the tub there. He went from fucking to getting fucked real quick with that knife. And look, I love this latter scene. Like a lot of people kind of complained about it online, but I don't know, man. I thought it was really well done, really tension filled. I caught myself saying, man, get your ass across the ladder multiple times to all the people involved here. And so they clearly had me hooked, and you knew one of them was going to fall. There was just a small part of me that was, I don't want Mindy to die because I love her character. It reminds me of Randy, and I want that connection to still be there. But there's just a small part of me that wishes one of the important characters had died that way. Really cool death, though. I love the fall. I thought it was great. You knew that nobody being on the other end of that ladder was going to end in somebody's death. I actually thought it was a great plan to use the ladder, though. I don't know who has a ladder that tall, just laying around in their main living room there, but that's not really a nitpick worth going over. This Ghostface shrine, if you will, I think is great. I'm not a huge fan of how we get there, how Gail just investigates and finds it, but you have to get there somewhere. Minor nitpick. It's awesome. As a Scream fan, it's everything you would ever want. Obviously, you don't want this kind of shrine in the hands of someone with the mental capacity that Richie had, apparently. But to have it just around, I think is awesome. All the memorabilia. And it kind of in a meta way, touches on true crime fandom and how kind of weird that starts to get when people are, buying Dahmer's prison shoes and, people are wearing shirts of the Columbine killers. Like, that's the kind of stuff I think they're trying to touch on here a little bit, and I think they do a good job. But it's really cool to see all the different connections, and Kirby seeing the knife that she was stabbed with was a really powerful moment to me. I'm not a big fan of Hallucination Billy Loomis. I said it in Scream 5 review. It doesn't bother me, but in this one in particular, it just takes me out of it a little too much. That Sam has this inside her mind, never even met Billy. I'm not a fan of it, but it works, I guess. It gets us to that killer instinct that Sam has, so I'm willing to forgive it. One of my favorite moments in the movie here is Mindy and Kirby talking about horror movies. Reminds me of how we do this show, talking about our favorite Fridays, our best nightmares, if we like the new Candyman requel, all that stuff is just really cool. Reminds me of how we just kind of sit around and talk about that same kind of shit. So I love this set. Surprisingly, I know, I love this set of scenes, but the Ghostface Shrine stuff is just really good. There's just a lot of good character moments, and we get to look at maybe the coolest collection of horror movie shit I've ever seen. So, big thumbs up here.
So the news, the television news, revealing that Sam is the prime suspect is weird. I don't know how realistic that is. Surely suspects know they're suspects before the news announces it to the world, right? Bailey would have told her, or someone else would have told her, hey, we need you to come in. You're a prime suspect and all this. And I guess he kind of told her she can't leave the city, but still. The Core 4 nickname is funny. The nickname itself is okay. but that scene with him trying to convince the group we're the core four, like I really enjoyed that. Danny just yelling out his window to me was weird though. Like, why wouldn't he immediately pick up his phone and call her text? And then he just gave up after one call. Oh, she didn't answer. Guess she's not home. Bitch, you see her. Keep calling her. Send her a text and let her know, hey, Ghostface in the house, motherfucker. Like, that was just weird. But more weird than that, this man was ironing a T-shirt before he put it on at this hour of the night. Did anyone else notice that? Like, he just picks a T-shirt up off his iron. It's late at night. Who the fuck irons T-shirts like that anyway? Just throw that bitch in the dryer. I don't know. That just annoyed the shit out of me. But extremely tense scene though when they're trying to escape across the ladder to Danny's, and then my God, what a thud Annika's head made on that dumpster. I don't mean to laugh at a situation that stressful and that real, but God, I laughed. That was just the way she bounced off of it. That was awesome. And then, what kind of security are they running at this crime scene? 2 people just got through the yellow tape without even being questioned. First, Ethan just walks right through it, and then Gail. Surely to God, they would have said, "No, this is a crime scene. Why are you here? Why do you need to be here?" Like, no, they just walked through, unmolested, for lack of a better word. God, that was a bad word choice, but it works. It's technically correct. Don't look at me like that.
Pause.
No, it is the right word. It's just typically not used in that context. Anyway, we got a chilling line from Detective Bailey here. Like, if you fuck with my family, you die. Because especially when you think back on that, because the way he looked at Sam when he delivered that line, and then once we find out the big twist, it's like, yeah, okay, he wasn't joking. Like, if you fuck with his family, you die, or you're at least, he's going to try to unalive you. That shrine was just crazy, just unbelievably great attention to detail from the props department. I can't stress that enough. That's a 13 out of 10 scene. Just seeing all that cool stuff from the franchise, from different parts of different movies. And then, such an emotional spot as Gail gets to Dewey's little shrine and just kind of pauses and looks at it. I shed one singular tear every time I watch the movie for my guy. Rest in peace, Dewey. David Arquette, love to have you on the show. You're my hero. Former WCW champion. We get another seed planted here also that Sam could snap and turn evil at any moment when she's having her little heart-to-heart with the ghost of Billy. I don't mind it. I get what you're saying, Mike. Like, I don't love it, but I think it works, so I'm fine with it. And then the last thing is just I really love the horror movie conversation between Kirby and Mindy, because Mindy's character, if nothing else, Mindy's character just feels like she belongs in a Scream movie. Like, that conversation is such a Scream franchise conversation to have. And so just a great piece of writing there as well. So yeah, another fantasy or great set of scenes that I'm a fan of.
All right, we're in the park now using Sam and Tara as bait, and Kirby is going to try and trace the call. Mindy is hesitant. This is how her uncle Randy died. Bailey is looking like Joe Goldberg lurking off as Richie calls Sam again. Ghostface tells her she's going to die choking on her blood. Kirby traces the call to Gail's apartment building. Gail is mad Press wasn't allowed. Sam and Tara steal Bailey's patrol car to head across town to Gail's. Nighttime now, and Brooks tells Gail the call's for her. It's the killer. Hello, Gail. This call is long overdue. She sends Brooks to call the police. She asks what's his motive this time. Ghostface questions if she should be punished after profiting off the misery of others. We see Brooks attacked in the background. They bring up Dewey's death to Gail as she tears up. Brooks is launched through this bookcase, and Gail is chased. She hits Ghostface with a skillet and runs out to her balcony. Back inside and gets to her gun safe. She shoots through the door twice. How's that for nostalgia, fucker? Gail is called again. You missed. 2 more shots and she says, I'm going to shoot you in the fucking head. Back into her apartment, and the killer says she would have been a good killer. You never got to be the leading lady. It was always about Sydney. She puts Ghostface on hold and calls a number and shoots at the phone ringing. Ghostface charges through the door, stabbing Gail in the shoulder, then in the leg. More chase until Gail tosses Ghostface through the glass table. She grabs a knife and goes to stab until glass into the side of her ribs. Ghostface stabs down, but Gail catches their hands. Sam shoots and Ghostface runs off. They apologize to Gail, and she says to tell Sydney he didn't get me, and her eyes close. Paramedics arrive as Tara pulls Sam off of Gail. They have a weak pulse and take her away. Danny makes it to the others, and Tara questions him now. Mindy is scared. She doesn't want to get hurt again. Sam says maybe he gets to win this time. He wants to punish me. Maybe I should give myself up to make you all safe. Tara says you have to let us protect you this time. Mindy says we're family, the core four. Tara calls Bailey to help them lure Ghostface to a secure location so they can execute them. Bailey has the security cards to the theater from Gale and says to stay in public. They're at the subway now, and Mindy gets separated from the group. She accuses Ethan of being Ghostface and walks away from him. Chad and Tara accuse Danny of separating them. They grow concerned seeing several people wearing the Ghostface mask. They have 10 stops until they get to their stop. Mindy is all alone, but keeps her eye on Ethan. She gets jump scared by someone in a Ghostface mask. Sam is concerned when Ghostface walks towards them, but they swiftly exit the subway. Mindy is at the end of the train with her back pressed to it. Ghostface stares at her and gets closer and closer with each flash of the light. She doesn't see anymore, and Ghostface suddenly appears, holding her mouth closed and stabbing her twice to the gut. Ghostface walks away, and Ethan finds her on the ground bleeding. He picks her up and carries her off the train. She says she got it wrong again. Fuck this franchise, as medical help arrives. We're at the theater now, and Kirby has it all set up. She doesn't want Danny involved. He's not Woodsboro. She doesn't know him. He tells her to be safe, and they walk off. Kirby says she cleared the whole place and has it set up to where they have to enter here and trap so they can kill them. And Kirby walks away suspiciously. All right, Brian's the next set of scenes I got, and the next set is the ending. Go ahead, brother.
This Gale scene is fantastic. Great back and forth. We talked about it before, but her hanging up on him cracked my ass up. I loved it so much. I'll say it again. The only part that bothered me was him acknowledging that she's never had a Ghostface call before. I mean, how the fuck would he know that? But someone else brought up on a decent counterpoint, and I'm not sure who said it, but they said maybe, she put it in her last book, to which the killers probably read. So I can live with that. But definitely the best Gale scene in the entire franchise. Courtney Cox kicked some ass. Again, though, back to my biggest complaint. I just wish she hadn't got so nearly fatally killed. Just a few slices and dices would have done if you weren't going to kill her. Now the paramedics got there super quick, but don't even make it that close. I don't know. And yeah, this bothers me a lot that this was Quinn here in Gale's apartment as well, because her little fuckboy she had was pretty built, and she tossed him like he weighed like 50 pounds or so. So yeah, no. Also, upon subsequent viewings, this subway scene is still my favorite in the movie. I love the tension, but have I mentioned this atmosphere is fucking on point in this movie? Woo! But man, the tension is the highest right here to me. First, let me talk about the subway Halloween costumes. Now, besides the hot horror icons like Myers and Pinhead and Wolfman, which were awesome, the costume designer Avery Plews made a tribute to Wes Craven, and she said, quote, we started with Wes and went through A-list horror villains, new and old, and then stuff that really feels relevant to people today that's part of the zeitgeist, she said. Scream is all about being meta and referencing the zeitgeist, and so you look at Ari Aster, Jordan Peele, we had Handmaid's Tale, zombies on the subway. We wanted Mindy to feel terrorized, not just by horror elements, but also the patriarchal tropes that really freak her out. Freddy, Sadie from Last House on the Left. There's like 10 references, and I loved it so much. Seeing our favorite 80s slashers in Halloween, it's kind of few and far between anymore. So it was nostalgic as hell just to see them again here. But man, the cinematography with the lights flashing and then Ghostface getting closer and closer with each flash, I loved every second of it. I do wish Mindy would have actually died here. And again, if she was going to die, or if she wasn't going to die, don't have the knife twist. But, we'll talk about that at the end. A shorter group of scenes here, but two epic parts as we head into the closing.
Yeah, man, this has so much. First of all, I love the nod to Randy in the van. Mindy even calls it out. That's exactly how her uncle died. Yeah, absolutely. And I thought that was a nice subtle nod, especially because Kirby is kind of the Randy of her movie, and Mindy's the new Randy. And I think them being in this van together was a little bit of a fun nod, at least for me. This stuff in the park, though, I'm not a big fan of. It's maybe my one small criticism here. The fact that Bailey's there and he acts like, oh no, don't take the cop car, when he kind of like. None of this is ruining his plans, So when you watch it in hindsight, you're kind of like, okay. whatever. But I like the smartness of Sam to realize, yeah, they're definitely going to go after Gale. And when I said earlier that I thought this was Gale's best character stuff, this is Courtney Cox's best work as far as the Scream franchise, outside of the first one where I think she plays that character perfectly. This is definitely her best stuff. And she is phenomenal here, man. She does a great job of selling the suspense. She's scared, but she's not intimidated. She's definitely not scared of Ghostface, but because she always, in all these other movies, even though she's been stabbed, has had an upper hand somehow on Ghostface. And I think, she continues to have that here. So she displays fear, but not intimidation. I think she toes the line almost damn near perfectly. I agree with the gripe, though. I think just don't overdo her almost dying. Like, I think some stabs, her getting away with it, and Sam and Tara saving the day, the three badass women all coming together yet again to kind of, get Ghostface to go away. Even if you had the balls to kill a Ghostface here, maybe reveal one of them, I think that would have been perfect. Because if you're not going to actually go through with killing Gale, which I was in favor of, I think this would have been a great send-off because, again, this is kind of her movie as far as the original main three cast go, then I don't think you have to go up to that line. So that's something I would have changed. It's not a big deal, but it is something I wish they had gone maybe just a little bit of a different direction with. Then you get this scene on the subway, and, man, it's incredible. It's shot so well. All the different lighting and all the different horror nods, which Brian touched on, so I'm not going to beat the dead horse, but there's so many different ones. You have to pause to catch them all. And I do like the fact they included just a bunch of different fucking Ghostface. Like, there's Ghostface masks all over this thing, and I think that kind of hides everything well. You don't know who the real Ghostface is, and that adds suspense, genuine suspense. I also wish Mindy would have died here or just not have stabbed her. Like, I don't know if that really added any weight because, again, you're not going to kill her. And I said at the top of the show, I think the whole move was to not kill any main characters because people were expecting them to go all out and kill a bunch of main characters. And I think that's kind of the meta twist. And I guess if you saw that, it worked. If it worked for you, great. And if it didn't, I think that's a lot of people's nitpick, and I understand that as well. So, again, phenomenal stuff here. I'm just so damn impressed by how this movie is able to keep me entertained in this franchise in a sixth installment this late in the movie. How I am about longer movies. This movie's, creeps up over 2 hours. I don't feel this runtime at all. I think I could take more of this subway scene if you ask me. So really, really good stuff.
Yeah, so first of all, Bailey wasn't exactly acting with much urgency, trying to stop two girls from stealing his cop car.
Exactly. Yes.
So, come on.
In hindsight, it's very obvious, yeah.
Yeah. So then, Gail's got a new love interest who only serves one purpose. That's dying. Okay. And it was such a sad and pathetic death, too. Dewey would never. Dewey got stabbed in the spine like 19 times. This guy gets thrown through a bookshelf from IKEA, and he's fucked. Like, nah, get out of here with that. Something I don't get, though. Ghostface was in the apartment, right? Like, he's in the apartment during this time, and they couldn't hear him talking. Like, we heard the phone conversation. He wasn't whispering. So they couldn't hear him just a room over talking at normal volume. Not buying that. I do think it was a genius move to say, hold on a minute, and like put him on hold or hang up and then call him right back. That was awesome. Made me laugh as well. But idiot move to fire 2 shots blindly and then just let your guard down like that. And she just, I heard the phone ring, bam, bam, and she still gets tackled. So that was stupid. But how did Ghostface escape that apartment that easily? Like, you got EMTs coming in, you got Sam and Tara coming in, and they're up high. They're high up in this building, and no one saw them. I can't imagine there's that many exits. So that was kind of a head scratcher as well. But you can forgive it, I guess. And then, Mindy and Ethan getting separated from the group in the subway. I thought that was very well done because it further plants the seeds. Like, okay, is Ethan in on this? Is Ethan was this intentional? And then you just really feel Mindy with her guard up there. You can relate to that. You understand why she's like that. And then that subway scene was just so perfect. It's tense seeing her nerves. And then you got all these Ghostface, Scareface, Ghostface masks on the two different trains. That was awesome. And then I especially love it when, the lights would go dark and then they come back on and there's not really a score, which makes it all the more creepy. And especially that one when it goes dark and comes back and then the Ghostface mask is looking at her. Then it goes dark again and light back in. It's moved closer and closer. And then she ultimately, gets stabbed there. I just think that subway scene was absolutely brilliant. Like, that's not just good by Scream standards, which, we kind of grade on a different curve. That's good by horror standards in general. Like, that was a fantastic scene that I absolutely love. And it's, really one of the only things about the movie that really feels like New York, too. Like, we don't get a Times Square scene. We don't get any of our familiar New York landmarks. All we get is, it's crowded. It's busy as shit. And they tell us we're in New York. But the subway scene, it actually feels like, okay, this is a New York atmosphere. So I love that as well. Another solid set of scenes.
All right, guys, here's the final set of scenes. Sam calls Mindy to no answer as Billy tells Sam she's not safe here. Get a weapon and clear the place yourself. She takes Billy's bloody knife and calls for Kirby, but no answer. Bailey calls her and says they're not safe. Kirby is mentally unstable and they're all in danger. She's no longer with the FBI. Stab plays now as Chad and Tara flirt. They kiss passionately until Ghostface arrives, stabbing Tara in her back. Chad throws him into the wall, punches and kicks Ghostface. Sam accuses it on Kirby. They go to head to the exit above until Ghostface appears. Chad tackles Ghostface and bashes them with a camera. Chase scene, and they get Ghostface to the ground until another appears and stabs Chad in his side. Chad is now stabbed multiple times as Sam and Tara run off. They're surrounded and they grab some bricks as weapons. Kirby appears and shoots at Ghostface. Kirby says one of them knocked her out. Bailey appears now and Kirby tells Sam not to believe him. Ghostface appears behind Bailey and he shoots Kirby. Bailey reveals he is a killer alongside Ethan. He was wearing Nancy Loomis' mask and juked the roommate system. Quinn now reveals she wasn't killed. She stabbed Gail and Mindy. Bailey swapped Quinn's body out. She's wearing Stu Macher's mask. Bailey reveals Billy's mask to Sam. He needs her to put it on as she swats it away. Ethan cuts her arm and Quinn says she started the rumors of Sam. They reveal Richie was their son and brother. Ethan stabs Sam in the shoulder and Bailey says he overindulged Richie's love of movies. He helped build Richie's collection. They had to kill the film students. He put the theater in their name and built a tribute to their son. Bailey says after they kill them, they rush to the hospital to kill Mindy and Gail. Sam calls Richie pathetic and a limp dick little fuck, enraging Quinn. Tara hits her in the face with a brick and Kirby shoots Bailey. Ethan stabs Kirby in the stomach as Sam bashes him with a brick, then stabs him multiple times. Sam and Tara climb to the top of the theater. Tara slips as she's shot and Sam holds on to her. Sam hands her the knife and lets her fall down to Ethan. Quinn approaches Sam menacingly. Tara is stabbed in the gut, but then stabs Ethan through his mouth, twisting the knife. Now die a fucking virgin. Looks like you're down another brother, Sam tells Quinn as she runs to Sam. Sam shoots her in the head, killing her. Out of bullets as she tries to shoot Bailey. She charges him and he charges her and they tackle each other off the balcony. Bailey awakes and grabs the gun from his ankle. His phone rings and it's Ghostface. What's your favorite scary movie? Bailey shoots some of the Ghostface displays. He tells her to show herself. Sam appears and stabs him repeatedly and removes the mask. She goes to stab again and Tara appears, stopping her. Sam says, her father was a murderer. No matter what you believe, I'm better than that. She stabs him through the eye for fucking with the family. Red Right Hand plays. Sam and Tara walk through the broken screen. They sit on the step and Tara thanks her for letting her go and says she's going to get so much therapy after this. They laugh and say, we're going to get through this together. Suddenly, Ethan runs at them, but is stopped by Kirby yeeting the Stu Macher TV into his head. I saw that in a scary movie once. The police and Danny show up now. He tells them Mindy and Gail will be all right. Mindy is heading over now. Kirby is taken away on a stretcher as she tells him to call whenever needed. They're sort of the same fucked up legacy. Tara cries over Chad, but he's brought out on a stretcher alive. Core 4 and they kiss. Mindy runs up, upset she missed the monologue. Sam goes into a bit of a trance as she looks down at the Billy Loomis mask. Tara calls for her and she drops it on the ground and walks away with Sam as the film ends. All right, Brian, that's the ending. What did you think, my man?
Okay, now, first of all, I do have issues with the ending. But on record, I vehemently disagree with saying that it's, another long lost relative or unoriginal reveal. This is literally the first time in the franchise where the killers have no interest in Sydney whatsoever. We have 2 that wanted to finish Richie's movie and 3 family members of the killer who just wanted revenge. So killer's motivation is definitely not my problem, not my issues or problems with this. I think Quinn's the best of the 3 killers, and apparently Liana Liberato was the one who gave the depth to Quinn's character. To quote her, she said it was a really big goal of hers to not come across too crazy in the reveal. She wanted Quinn's anger to be driven by an immense amount of pain and love for her brother, and this feeling of where her sole goal was to now protect her family the way that Richie took care of her. She was trying to find a sense of humaneness because there isn't a lot when it comes to Ghostface killers. She said that they played a lot with those notes, and then obviously, there being a hierarchy in the family with Dormeau, and he obviously has this immense amount of pride with Richie. I personally thought her line when she was talking to Sam and said, "You know how easy it is to convince the world of the worst in someone instead of the best." That's pretty deep and pretty on point with everything going on right now in the world. Some of my nitpicks include, but are not limited to, Tara and Chad kissing at an inopportune tense time, the Chad beheadings joke in the middle of the fight, and of course Chad fucking surviving this. Like, if he doesn't die from that, what are we fucking doing? Like, that bothered me. And to think we used to get mad Dewey kept surviving 1 knife wound, not so crazy now, is it?
We didn't get mad.
It ruins such a good kill. And both ghost faces are wiping the knives, I thought was an outstanding visual. Kirby not being able to hit a single one when she came out blasting, come the hell on. Like, take some shooting lessons from Dr. Sleep. Come on, fuck on. Ethan being stabbed 6 times and still able to jump around like he's fine. Also being stabbed in the fucking face and then coming back for a final scare. Big nitpicks for me right there. But we did get some great shit like Quinn's teeth being knocked out. Great shot there. And Sam killing Detective Bailey the way she did. Her emerging from that burning screen. Gotta fucking love that shot. And then stab in the face. Like, now I want to see Sam falling into insanity and then going after Sydney in the final one. That's what I want to see now. No killer reveal. That's what I want to see. I just think the final, pop up with Ethan just so Kirby could do something, I thought was way too much. All in all, I thought this was a really good movie.
So I actually really like the I guess red herring of Kirby here. We talked about it with Guy. We talked about it in our spoiler reaction. I mean, it got my wife. She thought that it was going to be Kirby, and so I think they did a good job kind of making you sniff on that a little bit, for lack of a better word. I think in the end, though, this ending is good, but compared to the rest of the film, I think it has some major flaws. I'm glad we get back to this shrine. I think it's the perfect place to end this film. I mean, if you think about it, Scream 2 ended, it ended in the theater at the university, and now Scream 6 is ending in the theater, not a university, but they're in college, so that makes a little sense to me. I thought that was a nice touch. But you get some good Tara and Chad moments here where they're talking, but then my big complaint is, how in the fuck does Chad make it through this? I mean, I'm sorry. It just really, even for me, who was willing to forgive a lot of shit, especially in the Scream franchise, it's too much for me. That he was stabbed over and over and over again. A great kill. A kill with some weight. Killing one of the core 4. I mean, technically, I know we have the big 3 in this franchise, but I would like to throw Randy into that mix, and he was killed in Scream 2, and I think killing one of his kinfolk in this movie would have been a nice little touch of meta and just callback, and I think that would have been a really good time to kill one of those guys off, and they didn't stick it, and it takes me out of it just a little bit. All this stuff with Sam and Tara is fantastic, though. Once we realize It's not Kirby, it's Bailey and his kids. I don't mind the reveal. I think it's fine. It fits the story of it fits the story. It's I don't know who they want it to. The people that don't like it, I'm not really sure who you want it to be at this point. But I guess it's just something that doesn't bother me. The Ghostface reveals are what they are. I think they're less important than the actual acting of the Ghostface and how it's used and Roger L. Jackson's voice. As long as that stuff's good, the reveals are kind of whatever to me. As long as it makes a little bit of sense, and I think it does here. It's the Ghostface in the last movie's kinfolk, and they want revenge. Like that. That's a pretty simple slam shut case to me. That works. And again, I like even in this mass chaos, you get some character development with Sam and Tara. She has to let go of her in order for her to fight, a little bit on her own. I like that. And I like that they work together to take these guys down, including with the help of Kirby, which I may have killed Kirby off as well, just to give some weight to this movie, which is a complaint that Richie had in the last film. But in this movie, he would have been pissed that nobody, with stakes was killed off. Because even Kirby, just the stabs that she took, I think it, shots, gunshot wounds and stuff. I mean, I think it may have been a pretty good time to do that as well. But hopefully we get her back for Scream 8. I like the three women ending it up. That's just how it goes. And again, I actually think Bailey is one of my favorite Ghostface. I really do. I think he works. If it would have just been Bailey and not his two kids, I would have been totally fine with that as well. I think he does a great job here at the end, kind of showing that he's been a little bit mad, crazy this whole time. And I don't know, it hit for me. And that little bit of hint that we get with Sam kind of going into madness, you start to see the Loomis in her finally starting to tick, and that it's not the hallucination stuff with her dad. It's in her mind. She sees this mask, after everything is said and done. I like that. I like Brian's idea. I kind of hope we get that. I would like to get Sam going after Sydney. I think that'd be great. And one last thing, I love the fact that they leave the theater and it's Richie's name directed by with a Ghostface mask burning. I thought that was really cool. I thought they did a great job with that. And having Tara and Chad kiss and all that stuff, again, took me out of it a little bit. So some minor nitpicks didn't quite stick the landing perfectly. But again, to me, it doesn't take away anything from what I thought was a damn good movie all the way through.
So we get a kind of an oh shit moment here when Bailey tells Sam that Kirby had been fired from the FBI or whatever. She'd been acting erratic and everything. I love that added layer to the story. Now, I mentioned in the instant review or instant reaction one that we did, that's kind of, to me, my mind went the opposite, I think, of the intent, though. That's when I was like, I don't trust it. I think Bailey's in on this. But still, it was a good addition there. We get our final showdown, and it's one for the ages. I mean, the setting just makes it so much more incredible, like a Ghostface battle in a Ghostface museum. Hell yeah. My guy, Chad, he got knifed up pretty good here. And, of course, there's multiple ghost faces. I mean, that's great writing to me. It could literally go a number of directions. And when Bailey shoots Kirby, I think that's a great twist as well, because I suspected Bailey earlier in the movie, but it was still great. Now, I will say this also. You guys are harping on my guy Chad surviving this shit. Number one, I told you all when I came out of the movie theater watching this, he looks like he could play Juan Soto in Juan Soto's biopic. And so, if he's anything like Juan Soto, he's got that dog in him. But also, I looked it up. I was trying to find what's the most stabbing that someone has survived. I found something from the Huffington Post. This was from 2013. A Colombian student, 20 years old, survived being stabbed 95 times. So, it's not completely unreasonable to think that Chad could survive that.
Jeez.
Yeah. Calling a man's dead son a lip dick little fuck while he's got a gun drawn on you, that's bold.
Chef's kiss.
That's bold. One of I think anyone's biggest pet peeves in this movie is okay, they wanted to kill Sam. He's got a loaded gun here. He could have just killed Sam at any given point, but it is what it is. And I feel like that would have been the thing that pushed him over the trigger, or pushed him over the ledge here and made him pull the trigger. And then Tara pulling her best Debo when, Craig knocked Debo's fucking eye straight in Friday with that brick, like she smacked the shit out of Quinn. Holy hell. And then, holy fuck, stabbing Ethan in the mouth was brutal. Like, I love that. It's kind of a false death. Like he charges back later, so he's not dead yet, but I wish that would have done it because that would have been my favorite kill. That was awesome. Just stabbing someone in the mouth.
Yeah.
And then something that's just a head scratcher for me is why would Bailey charge at Sam when her gun's empty? You have a loaded gun. There's clearly one in the chamber at least because he fires it, but like he just runs at her with the gun and doesn't shoot her. He allowed himself to be tackled off the balcony. Like probably the least believable thing in the entire movie. Well, so far until we see that Chad survives because he's going to tell us to hold his beer. But, he's a cop. He knows how to use a gun. Like that's not practical to me that he would run at her instead of shooting her if he really wanted her dead.
Dustin, better performance. Mick Foley at King of the Ring or Chad?
God.
Who survived more?
Yeah, I mean, Mindy's baby brother is broken in half. It was incredible.
My God.
But I love the conversation between Tara and Sam here after Sam stabs Bailey in the eye. They had that little bonding moment. It was like, oh, you fucked the family, and so they kill him. But that just when Tara said, nice, she goes, thanks. You okay? No. Like that was just so cool because they were so drained and they were so just in shock of what they had just been through again, and that was just a cool moment to see there. But then, like I said, man, how the fuck Chad survived this? I'll tell you, there's only one explanation. He got that dog in him. Solid movie. I loved it all the way through. I wasn't ready for it to be over. Give me 2 more hours.
All right, guys, let's jump into our social media comments and questions. Brian, you got Twitter pulled up?
Yeah, sure do. Let's see here. Randy Smith said, I wanted to love it, but I just didn't. Not saying it was bad. It's my least favorite of all the Scream movies. Wow. And I really liked 5. I would honestly say I would rather watch part 3. Okay, wow. Kevin Scanlon, teammate of the show. I thoroughly enjoy this one. It slots in right behind the OG for me. It certainly had some glaring problems, but it didn't stop me from having fun with it. Okay. Steven Rodriguez posted, would Chad survive this? And it's a picture of an atomic bomb and explosion. So he would probably, dog in him, like Dustin said. All right. So, and Shannon has a couple of questions here. Number 1, what do you feel about the killer reveal? Because some people love it and others hated it. I feel like
I'll touch on it in my rating.
I thought it was, I thought it was just okay. Fine. It's not great. It's not bad. It's fine. It worked for the story.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked it.
The other question is, the killer reveal parallels the reveal of Scream 2, kind of, the parental revenge anger. What do you think, or angle? What do you think we could expect for Scream 7 reveal?
Sam's long lost brother, baby. Let's go.
I said in our instant reaction, like I think it would be cool or believable and feasible if it's Sam and Tara, like they both snap because they've been through so much trauma, but I'll do you one better. Since this one kind of paralleled Scream 2, we'll do something off Scream 3 here. Jay and Silent Bob are the fucking killers. They are Ghostface.
Boo boo kitty fuck. Boo boo kitty fuck. Oh, my bad.
I'm gonna go the other way and say that we don't get a killer reveal at the end. That it's somebody that we find out at the very beginning, maybe. So I don't know.
Before you go, I want to pitch mine. Obviously, I think it should be a cult ran by Stu Macher this whole time. He's been alive. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
They're kind of setting it up that way.
Ugh.
I mean,
He did.
I feel like they left that open.
Dead.
Not if they do a Wes Craven New Nightmare style movie. Anyway,
DED. Dead.
How do you do that'd be meta over. That's crazy. All right. So anyway, Jason Slimick, he said it was entertaining. Franchise continues. Yes, it does. Mookie said, Chad, Mindy surviving. You ain't got to kill both of them off, but just one of them should have died. I agree, Mookie. He said Gail should have died. and they fumbled the bag with Kirby. I disagree with that. He gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Okay.
Gale should have definitely died.
Doesn't like
That's
it.
just me speaking, though.
That's personal.
Yeah,
That's it. I said, man, that Dewey death hurt it.
Sean Irwin, Sean the Glee Man. Other than Chad's bullshit survival, was there any other glaring errors in this movie? Did everyone make consistent decisions? I mean, I've pretty much I've said all my issues with it.
Yeah, me too.
Brother, I ain't
said
even
it
got
too.
started yet.
No,
Sorry.
The
here we
biggest
go.
one for me is that for one of the ghost faces to literally be a cop, he didn't know how to kill for shit.
There you go. And last one, Andrew Ferguson. If Randy could die in part 2, why couldn't one or both of those
Thank you.
annoying twins get offed in this one?
Oh,
Well,
they're not annoying, Randy.
I agree with that one. They both could have died, and I'd have been fine
Nah.
with that.
Core 4.
You know, it would have been core 2 at the end, and that would have been funnier when they said core 2.
Core 5. Diamonds are forever, and so are
That's
the Core
right.
4.
Core 4.
Oh.
Woo!
All
Way too many
okay.
wrestling references on this
Is that
show.
all the Twitter?
That's all Twitter.
All right, I got the IG pulled up here. Dead Noise Blog said Detective Bailey's post-reveal performance has been widely criticized and ridiculed for being over-the-top dramatic. Personally, I didn't mind it, considering this is more or less a rehash of Scream 2, and we saw how dramatic Mrs. Loomis
Exactly.
was. Shrug emoji. What are your thoughts? Did it make sense to you, or did you find it distracting?
Loved it. Thought it was great.
Didn't bother me.
Yeah, I'm fine with it as well. Jay Hambrick 88 said it was definitely better than I expected. I love that Hayden Panettiere came back, and I wish she would call me sometime. LOL.
Hey,
I just feel
you're
like
not
Gale
kidding,
should
pal.
have died. Other than that, it's a pretty solid movie. I agree. Death to Gale. The Black Han Solo said, "Core 4!" exclamation mark. Still one of the best horror movie franchises. I've never been scared of Ghostface until this movie. The quick John Wick stabbing was a little different than we usually see from Scream movies, especially with Ghostface stabbing and killing multiple people in public in the bodega scene. Ghostface was a tad bit more scary in this to me, and that latter kill is the most fucked up kill in the movie to me. The menacing and petty presence of Ghostface in that scene was fucked up. Anyways, can't wait to hear what you guys think of this one and how your rankings change, because 3 is still my favorite one after 1, but this isn't far behind. Stay gory, fellas. Awesome. Appreciate that. MStew41 said, the last 20 minutes or so killed this movie for me. Pure cringe from the lame reveal to everyone surviving ridiculous amounts of stabbing. Hopefully we get Stu back in the next movie. That's Mike's burner account. What the hell are we doing here?
I like the ending. Don't you put that on me. I like the ending. But shout out to that man. He's got a good head on his shoulders. That's what I'm talking about. Hashtag Stu return. Let's go.
His name is Michael also, so I'm just saying it's a little suspicious.
You think listen, I know I'm an idiot, but you think if I made a burner, I'd use the same first name? Get the fuck out of here, pal. Give me a little more credit.
God Family Texas says, it may sound far-fetched, but hear me out. I know a lot of us were wanting Stu to be the killer this go-around, and I feel like he can be the killer the next one just by looking at the outline of the movies.
Now
Scream
that's my burner.
1996
God Family Texas.
Scream 1996, boyfriend is the killer. Scream 2, mom is the killer, and she's doing it because her son was killed. Scream 3 was the one killer that started it all. Scream 22, boyfriend is the killer. Scream 23, dad Simmons was the killer because her son, brother was killed. Knowing how much the new movies have been a slight change from the original trilogy, I think it's safe to say Stu is going to be the killer in the next movie. I don't know how he's dead, but
I mean, he's alive.
What is going on with all this Stu talk? There's Stu truthers out there everywhere.
yeah.
You damn right. There's two truthers.
So
I
Gil-
want to see. I want it to happen because I want Brian and Nico's head to explode. That's why I want to see it.
So Gail the Snail had a couple comments. She said, I'm finally watching it tonight. I'll try to think of something to ask for. It's too late. And then she came back and said, the movie was entertaining, but I didn't love it, which is disappointing because I love this franchise. I didn't mind the family thing, but the whole Quinn thing was lamer than shit to me. Her dad switched the bodies? Fucking dumb. I like how she typed that. Fucking dumb. Appreciate that, Gail. Sorry that it let you down, and you're wrong because this movie is great, but that's okay. I still appreciate you. Mark_Hef said, I enjoyed it. Some of it was a little off. By that I mean stabs not killing people. Seriously, some of these people should have been very dead, and others running around a day after being badly injured or stabbed. I'll let it go. I felt the core four definitely made this movie. The decision to kill Dewey stands firm. Gail going back to her usual ways is getting tired. Every movie is the same for her. Loved her fight and dialogue with the killer and putting him on hold. Pure gold from her. The dad being the killer for me was a big giveaway when 10 minutes after supposedly finding his daughter dead, he was in a baseball hat and Scooby-Doo in Central Park. That's funny. Anyway, I enjoyed it. Good kills, a coordinated killers, and cast is great. Can't see a way back for Sid, sorry to say, but also Melissa, holy sweet Jesus, call me sometime. Easy. You could be my leading lady forevermore. Thanks, guys. Love the pod. All right, pal. You just made an enemy of me, but I appreciate your comment. And then he followed it up and said, apology, type that on the move, made a few typos. I did feel like I was having a stroke at one point, but I think I covered it up for you. Appreciate your comment there. Last one we got is Chris _2020. I really like this one. The opening really got me hooked with the fake out reveal. Also, the tense, scary scenes really worked for me. Sadly, I had two big expectations for the killers. One, Stu Macher somehow. Two, Sidney Prescott for a real risk-it-all scenario. Man, you Stu truthers. I mean, I respect it.
I'm completely off. I'm completely off of Sidney being the killer being interesting. Like I've completely changed on that. Like I don't think that's something they should do. Stu Macher makes more sense than that does now, to be honest. But anyway, okay, I'll go to Facebook. Not as many here, so you won't have to hear me stutter over S's and T's. Jennifer Kramer says, loved it with a smiley face emoji. The franchise is overall great. I've never been disappointed. Big fan of the show. Joe Swinford says, my second favorite movie in the franchise.
Nice.
A couple minor nitpicks, but overall, I think they did an awesome job mixing new with old. But Gail should have died. I agree, Joe. Gail should have died. Jennifer Tyree is also a top fan. Says, I agree. Probably the second best in the franchise. Okay, a lot of love for Scream 6 getting in the top 2-3 in people's franchise rankings. Dex Cole says, great movie overall, but still sour about Dewey being killed off. All right, Dustin. Dex Cole.
You know I don't have Facebook. Too many grandparents on there. I don't want to offend anyone.
Dex Cole. Dustin may not have Facebook, but Dex Cole does. Thanks for Dex Cole for that comment. I didn't mean to assume that you were Dustin. Big fan of the show. Michelle Merza says, excited for this one. I really enjoyed it, but I would have been fine with Gail Weathers' character not being in it, or if they killed her in this one. So, okay, not a lot of love for our girl Gail Weathers here. Strong member of the cast, but that's okay.
Our girl.
Dustin. What?
Our girl. She ain't my girl.
She's been in it since the beginning, pal.
She lost me with them fucked up bangs, man.
Jeez.
Fair. I mean, even she hates those bangs, so it's
People
not like
forget.
where people don't forget. Hashtag Stu Truther.
Everett Farms, don't forget.
That's all for Facebook. Short list.
All right, guys, let's jump into our fun facts. Brian, Dustin, y'all got any?
Yeah, okay, I got 3 since you just read, Dustin. The knock at Sam's therapist's door is the same audio reused from 2022's X, which was performed by director Ty West. West previously worked on VHS with Bettinelli, Alpin, Gillette, and Villela. Whatever, radio silence. I'm not saying that.
Radio silence.
I'm just going radio silence. There were no props left over from the previous films, not even the graphics files from the posters and book covers, according to the production designer, Michelle Laberte. So everything for the shrine had to be recreated from scratch. Laberte told IndieWire, we went through the films, made a list of all the murders, all the victims, adding that everything had to be from the murders that occurred in the Scream movies, not the Stab movies. And that the only Stab objects were related to Scream 3, which was about the making of a Stab movie. On our interview, Guy actually talked about the studio renting props from fans as well. And the last thing, which is actually radio silence kind of addressing the not killing people, but they talked to Collider about the lack of main character deaths. Matt said, one of the things that we talked about a lot during this process was that this should be a secret feel-good movie, and we knew we didn't want to kill these characters. We just didn't. It really might just be us being softies, being like, I don't know, we just love them. Tyler then added, at the end of the day, that core 4 thing only works if the 4 of them are there at the end of the movie. But I think in terms of calibrating that, look, we understand and fully embrace that we play a little fast and loose with that. That's part of the fun of these movies and the heightened reality that they live in. Tyler continued to explain, we were like, cool, let's exist in the lineage of these movies that are far in a franchise where batshit crazy things happen, and then it feels really good when these characters make it out alive. It was just really a conscious choice of us to steer in the wackiness of that trope and not kill anyone. So there you have it.
I don't have any.
Okay. All right. This movie's budget was $33 to $35 million, depending on where you look. Pretty. That's a little bit up from Scream 5, I believe, at least a couple $1 million, and it's obvious reason why. This movie made a $168.9 million at the box office. Had a huge opening weekend. I believe it even beat Scream 5's opening. So, like, this is clearly going in the direction of getting a Scream 8. These movies, Scream 7. These movies print money. I mean, they just print money. So, I'm impressed by that number. That's a big. I did not know that was final number until I looked it up this morning. So, $168.9 million.
All right, guys, y'all ready to get in our favorite kill, least favorite kill in the rating?
I'm ready for everybody's but Nico's. Yeah, sure.
Yep.
All right, I just want to preface mine by saying that I wrote a lot, but it's just because we're passionate about what we do on this show. I went into this one with very high expectations, and I just had some things that I didn't like. And after I do my review, I want you guys to comment back to me, whether it be on this show or in our group text, if I was being too harsh. But I would like y'all's feedback and the listeners. So here it goes. Favorite kill, I chose Samara Weaving, her kill, just because I thought it was a great scene and I thought she acted her butt off. I really liked her in her scene. Worst kill, I could have went with a lot of people who I thought should have died, but I chose Ethan just because I thought it was ridiculous he survived so much, and then the TV is what killed him. All right, this movie has a lot of good stuff in it. The New York scenery, Switch, I much appreciated. They did an incredible job capitalizing on it, and with the bodega scene, the apartment ladder crossover, and the subway scenes. I love seeing Ghostface in public. Killing and the subway scene with the different horror icons was awesome. Think the core four all had more camaraderie in this one. Jenna Ortega absolutely killed it again and is my favorite new character. Incredible opening scene with Scream Queen Samara Weaving. Also love the Ghostface killer revealing himself after killing her. The apartment sequence was good too. Now to my cons. I'm sure my co-hosts and Scream fan listeners are tired of my bitching, but we pride ourselves on being 100% honest and saying how we really feel. Listeners, I ask you to open up your metaphorical Microsoft Word. Change the font size to 48, make the letters bold, and type out these two words in all caps. To me. The Ghostface reveal, to me, is essentially the justification of these Scream movies being made. I thought this was a pretty damn good movie until this last 30 minutes, ending in the theater. The reveals were terrible. We have already had a parent of a previous movie's victim seeking revenge on the killer. I didn't like it at all. How in God's green earth did Private Eye Gale Weathers not know Bailey was Richie's dad after doing research to write this book? How the hell does Sam not know what her ex-boyfriend's dad looked like? I'm not a fan of Gale's character arc either. I feel like they took a big step back with her progression. Another big issue I have is how they painted Ghostface as the most brutal, aggressive, yet ruin it by not only letting all legacy characters survive, but survive way too much carnage. It's ridiculous. Chad, Mindy, Gale all survive what they went through, and Ethan getting up running at the end after all the wounds he suffered was laughable. Bailey has a loaded gun, and instead of shooting Sam, runs at her full speed just for him to both knock each other over the balcony's edge. Another big issue I have is something they did in Scream 5. Amber killing Dewey, and now in this we have Quinn killing Gale's boyfriend, who is 7 inches taller than her and 40 pounds heavier, and launching the guy through this bookshelf. I don't buy it whatsoever. I love the bodega scene, but which of these three ghost faces got dressed into costume that fast to attack the Carpenters? How many times do they knock Ghostface down and instead of killing them, they just run off? So frustrating. I still do not like the line where Gale tells the Carpenters Sydney is hiding and deserves her happy ending. Just a weird choice in wording considering the circumstances. I think Gale and Ghostface talking about her in her chase scene was a sufficient nod to Sydney. This franchise I see differently compared to a Halloween, Friday the 13th, and is grounded in more reality. We have regular people killing, not supernatural, hulking beasts. I can suspend my disbelief in those franchises because of who the villain is. This movie just asked me to suspend my disbelief way too much. I feel like this movie gets a pass of criticism that Halloween Kills got. Kills you can at least say happened the same night as Halloween 2018. That movie still killed off Laurie's daughter Cameron, Tommy Doyle, Marion Crane, Sheriff Brackett. This movie is a year later in a new setting and nothing new. Another 30-minute ending scene where the killers want nothing more than to get revenge and have ample opportunity and just piss the bed. My final thoughts take me to this quote from Guy Busick. Let me bring that up. This is from our interview, okay? It's been gratifying that some longtime fans, legacy fans that have been there since the beginning have really embraced this new cast and new creative team. Behind these movies, I mean, that's something we were always. That's what we had to live up to, and we just wanted to make the fans happy, being fans ourselves. And so anytime I do hear that from somebody that's, been on the ride since the beginning, or someone that just joined, with 5 last year, it's those are the people we really want to make happy. And good reviews or good box office is one thing, but we just want to be proud of the work we're doing, and we want you to know again to do honor of the franchise and do right by it. That was his quote from our show. This is something I thought of before we got him on the show, but it cemented it in my eyes. This franchise at this point isn't made for horror fans anymore, just Scream fans. I gave the movie a 5.5 out of 10 because it's entertaining, but the story is very poor to be this late in the franchise. And y'all may rebuttal if you want.
Oh, man, that's your opinion. I will rebuttal and say that I gave Halloween Kills a 9, so I loved it too. So.
No, that's your opinion, buddy. Yeah, I would say I would say you're right. It is made for Scream fans, though. Absolutely.
So my favorite kill, I actually picked Detective Bailey's stab to the face. I did love Sam's therapist stab to the face as well. I guess I was just a stab to the face kind of guy in this movie. My least favorite kill was Annika's ladder kill. The after effects were cool, but the fact that it happened at all, I didn't really like it. I would have just rather the ladder scene not been in there. After this, Scream remains my favorite franchise. Like I said before, I have this tied for second as far as my favorites go. 12-year-old me would never have thought that I'd be watching the 6th installment of this franchise, and it not turning into, in my opinion, what Nightmare, Halloween, Friday the 13th turned into after 6 movies. Also, I didn't tell you guys about this, but my son's first ever date was Saturday night and was to this movie. So I'm going to give this a 9.75 because that's what I believe I should have rated Scream 4. And I definitely would retroactively give Scream 1 a 10. So 9.75 for me.
All right. My favorite kill is actually Annika because I think it was, again, I like the kills in this movie that don't involve the knives. Like, again, I have no problem with a good stab. I think me and Brian went on a kick there for a couple months early on in this show where if somebody got stabbed in the neck, it was our favorite kill. Like, we just, for whatever reason, that's a cool visual to just get stabbed in the neck. But, like, outside of that, like, okay, a stab is a stab. My least favorite kill, I mean, I don't know. Technically, Chad not dying is not a kill. But, I mean, how about my least favorite attempted kill? And that'll be Chad because I think it's the one, it's really the only one that I just find totally ridiculous. Look, everything I've already said, multiply it. I love it. I think it's an entertaining film all the way through. It gives me all the same Scream vibes that every other movie in this franchise gives me. I mean, outside of 3, that's just like a little bit different. This feels like a continuation of the Scream plot, the Scream narrative. And I love it being in New York. I love this new cast, the core 4 anyway. I think they've just got such great on-screen chemistry that I keep wanting to come back. And so, and another thing I know I touched on it, but I think it needs to be said in every episode that we do about a Scream film. Roger L. Jackson was fucking incredible in this movie yet again. He never fails. It's never bad. It's always elite. Roger L. Jackson is the fucking man behind Ghostface, and it's just awesome. Okay. All that being said, obviously I had some small nitpicks. I do think that Gail probably should have died. There should have been at least one death with stakes. But again, hey, you know what? I'm willing to forgive that kind of stuff because I am a fan of this franchise. And it is unfair, and I understand where Nico's coming from. I'm willing to forgive this franchise more than I would another one for being kind of silly and stupid and not making a whole lot of sense. Like I don't hold it to the same standards as I would a franchise I'm not as big of a fan of. So I think that kind of plays in how I feel. I gave Scream 4 a 9.5. I gave Scream a 9, which retroactively I would probably give a 9.5. And so I'm going to give this one the exact same score I gave the original Scream, and that is a 9 flat. Couldn't quite get to 9.5 because right now Scream 4 is the highest rated one I have. I'd like to keep it that way. But so I would go with a flat 9.
So for my favorite kill, I went with Annika. Isn't something about her skull bouncing off the dumpster? It just got me. God dang, that was awesome. Least favorite kill, I'm going to have to go with Gail's new man. What a hoe. Just got tossed through a fucking bookshelf and he's done. Like I said, Dewey would never. As far as the movie, though, it's a fantastic movie. It's the longest in the franchise, but I don't care. Very rewatchable. You don't feel the runtime. The kills are great. The gore was great. The acting was great. Guy Busick is the man, friend of the show. I mean, I love almost everything about it. Even the critiques I have aren't major because you got to also remember, like, this is a Scream franchise. So a lot of the things that we nitpick are just that they're nitpicks and they're done intentionally. I truly feel that way. Like, Ghostface is always a bumbling idiot. Ghostface is always going to screw up. And so I love this movie. I'm going to give it a 9 as well. And that's going to put our composite score at an 8.3125, which is higher than the idiots over at IMDb. They've only got it at a 6.8.
The fuck do they know? They don't know shit over there. Fuck them.
All right, guys, I'm just going to read Patrick Maroney from It All Began With a Scream. He sent me just a little summary of his thoughts on it. We're going to give away some of his books, too. I've already been in contact with him. He's going to give away a signed book, and I feel like the pod, we can just give away a book or two as well in a giveaway. He just wrote, I find Scream 6 to be one of the most fun in the series to watch. So in terms of rewatchability, it ranks pretty high. But I acknowledge that it has some issues, like how did Ghostface get into the apartment unseen? And the third act could have used some editing. But everyone felt more comfortable in their roles in front of and behind the camera. This proved there's still plenty of juice left in the franchise. We really appreciate your feedback, Patrick. You're an awesome friend, and we look forward to giving away some of the books, man.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate you.
Awesome.
Yep.
I mean, if you're a Scream fan, you got to have that book. All right, guys. Y'all got any more final thoughts before we just jump into shouting out these blood donors?
Oh, shout
Oh,
out.
man, I'm good.
All right, just wanted to say appreciate all of our blood donors. Final guy donor, Kenneth Welch, will be doing his review in a few weeks. Appreciate your donation, bro. Camper level reoccurring, Clayton J, Nina, Michelle Mirza, Andrew Ferguson, the Horror Movie Crew podcast, Alex Seligson, Eric Doolittle, Sean Irwin, Brian Samick, and Michael Evans. Our camp counselor reoccurring are Dennis Kennedy, Edwin Hernandez-Gunn, Joe Swinford, Jennifer Davis from the Too Close to Home podcast, Heather Smith, Kylie Denise all the way from Australia, Adrian Aiello, Jake Hambrick, Clay Moore, Karen, Matt Strickland, and Gail Koontz. Just want to say thank y'all so much for your contributions. It means a lot to us. I apologize for sounding congested. Can't seem to shake this little bit of sickness. Mike, shout out your pick for next week one more time. The winner of our vote.
Yeah, I probably should have waited for this episode to do that, but that's okay. Again, I had an all 2022 poll, and the menu from 2022 ended up winning, what you can find on HBO Max. Really fucking excited that that's the movie that won. Very close. Thank God for all the people that voted, because I'm excited to talk about it. Because I think we will have some differing opinions. I think we may be having a little bit of a tag team match next week, which, you know, when the mega powers of Mike and Dustin unite, brother, I'm excited. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I don't hate that movie by any means. I'm excited to talk about it as well.
I don't hate it either. I just think it's overrated because Mike talked it up too much.
Here we go. Well,
It's
whatever.
overdue. We know that.
Yeah, it's very overdue. It's very overdue. Well, we should have done it the day it came out, you son of a bitch.
Overdue month.
Dude, their fucking Harley Kiner haircut. Fuck you.
Just want to thank all our fans and listeners. Really appreciate the support. Scream 6 was highly anticipated review, I'm sure. It was fun to review it. Like Brian mentioned in our group earlier, like these movies get me hyped up to review. The recent Halloween releases, just because we know how passionate the fans are about these franchises. So we appreciate your support, and y'all have a good one. Thank you for listening. Just want to remind everybody,